Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode with us, your Health and Harmony Girls. Today, we're going to chat a little bit about one of the questions that was asked via our Instagram account with one of our followers. She basically asked how to know when you're ready to move on to a new relationship after being in a previously toxic relationship. So, we're just going to touch a little bit on toxic people and like signs of toxicity in your life and people around you. And then we'll get to the answer of that specific question a little later in the podcast.
So, I think toxic people is such a general term because there's so many different types of toxic people in your life. And so, obviously, we're going to cover that today and just the general signs of toxic people, because I think it's hard for you to pick up that someone is toxic for you, especially if they're a good friend or a partner or someone even in your family, because you don't generally expect the people who you love the most to be toxic for you.
And I think sometimes even if you've got this like a little voice in the back of your head, or if it's your gut that's giving you this instinct or this inkling that maybe this person is some sort of like a toxic person, it becomes so easy for you to make excuses for that person, especially like Rox is saying, when you're close to someone. So I think it's important to note when someone is toxic in your life and obviously how to deal with that from there.
And I think the more self-aware you become, the more you'll actually be open to noticing when people are being toxic or are toxic or are just not worthy of being in your life, because you know, you pick up the signs, you pick up the signals. I was in a very toxic relationship, but when I was in my early 20s, and I let it go on for way too long, but I wasn't very self-aware at all. I almost just thought I love him so much, one day it'll change. You're always making these excuses. But if I think about myself now, if I was in the same situation, I would have one day and been like, you can fuck right off. Goodbye, get out of my life. You're not worthy of me.
And I think it's actually so not sad. It's great that we all go through these relationships or friendships or whatever that makes you realize that you have been in a toxic relationship, whether it's a friendship or a relationship. But it's sad in the sense to realize how many people have gone through it, how many people have been in toxic relationships. And yes, it's great to come out on the other side and realize there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you won't accept this in your future relationships. But a lot of people, I'd say more often than not, have been in a toxic relationship. I also remember my first relationship when I was 16 years old. That was a super toxic relationship. And I always made excuses in my mind because just the feeling of being loved and having a boyfriend was the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Same thing as toxic friendships. You and I have spoken about this before. I had a really toxic friend in my life that was in and out of my life all the time. Rox has had toxic friendships too. So it's not just to say relationships, toxic people can be all around in your life.
And I think one of the biggest things that it boils down to is your own self-worth. And I mean, thinking about, obviously when you're younger, it's more like naivety and stuff. It doesn't necessarily boil down to self-worth. But I think the older you get, it really does boil down to self-worth, because you are allowing yourself to be treated in a specific way because you maybe don't think you deserve better. And when you think that, you almost attract more of that into your life. So that's why you find a lot of people tend to have a history of dating basically assholes, because their self-worth is so low that they're not attracting people who think they are worthy, because you like attracts like.
Literally, you don't think you're worthy, so how is someone else supposed to find you worthy? And even so, like Rox is saying, you get to that point. I mean, we also know toxic people can be abusive. I mean, it doesn't have to be physically. It can be emotionally, mentally, verbally, whatever the situation is. But being in a toxic relationship for so long, those people make you believe that you don't deserve better. And at the end of the day, like we're trying to say, it's up to you to realize that you 1000% do. It is brainwash. It's complete brainwash. So
yeah, I think that's how they take control of you in the situation, is by making you believe that that's all you deserve, so that you don't leave them, because you'll never find someone better. You'll never find someone to love you. All this bullshit excuse. So
yep.
If you are in a toxic relation, just know that you are so fucking worthy and you deserve everything and more. So just start working on your self-worth, and eventually you'll have the courage to leave that relationship.
Completely.
Okay. So let's talk about the different types of toxic people. And I think when we start to go through them, because we've got 6 here, you might have one of each of these people in your lives. There's toxic all around you.
Completely.
Toxicity all around you. So the first one is the narcissist. So these are basically the people who only care about themselves. They think they are the center of the universe, that the world revolves around them, that they come first, they must be put first. They're my worst kind of people.
I can honestly, not that I would, but I'm like, I can name so many. I feel like it's so easy to pick up who a narcissist is and who isn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think you even need to go deeper into this type of person. They are generally just the most selfish human you have ever met in your entire life. If you have these people in your life, try to distance yourself from them. Or if you can't, just don't let it irritate you. Let them go on about themselves all night long and like forget about it.
Literally stay in your little bubble.
There's not much you can do about a narcissist unless they go through some like massive mindset shift.
Change. There's like zero you can do about that. The second person is the controller. I definitely know we each know at least one person like this in our lives too. But the controller always tries to control everything around them. They need to be in charge of every decision, and you basically can't do anything right. So I feel like this can lead to relationships like with a partner. It can be friendships, but also over and above that, I think a lot of people don't realize that their parents may have toxic behaviors too. So it's not to say that you can fully cut off yourself from your mother or your father. We're not advising you to do that, but to just also note that your parents are your parents and we love them, but your parents may have toxic behaviors too. And it's not to say that they are toxic people, but just to realize that if that's a trait that you don't like that your parents are doing, or that someone around you is acting like, you can prevent yourself from being that way by looking at how somebody else is treating everyone else. But I mean, we always say that you literally cannot control anything. We speak about this in almost every podcast. The only thing that you can control is your reaction to things. You have no control over the situation and how the world is going to play out. It's all already meant to be the way it's supposed to be. So the controller is a toxic person.
Okay, the next one is the drama magnet. If you don't have one of these in your life, you obviously are living in a very special place.
Very.
So these are like the gossip queens, the drama queens. Everything in their life is always so hectic. Everything in their life is always falling apart, and the people in their lives are so shit. And like, I feel like these people, I know because I'm not going to say who, but someone I know has a friend like this, and she'll phone her out of the blue and she will just blah, 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 for like 2 hours on the phone about how terrible her life is and how shit everything is. She won't ever once ask her, how are you? How are you doing? What's happening? What's news? Do you know? So like, that's the drama magnet.
Completely. I'm like, everyone has a drama magnet in their life. Like they always say, you attract what you create. And the more you speak about the drama, I mean, you guys know we focus on this all the time. Like what you focus on grows. And if you're going to focus on the drama in your life, like it's just going to grow 100%.
That's exactly why these people always have so much drama in their lives, because all they focus on is the drama, and the universe is like, cool, here's some more. Here's some more.
Like we always say, the universe doesn't understand words unless you are super specific. So if you're going to focus on drama, the universe is going to be like, okay, cool, you want more drama? I give you drama. Dishing it up for you on a platter.
It's a buffet.
Yeah, my dad calls it a buffet.
A buffet.
It's a drama buffet. Okay, guys, the next one is the energy vampire. So this person drains you of your energy, overwhelms you, creates problems, and feeds on negativity, criticizes you, and bullies you. So I know a few energy vampires in my life, and I know that sometimes it can be very difficult because a lot of the time energy vampires are they maybe don't mean the worst, and they're not really aware of what they're doing wrong, but it's just that being around that person for a long period of time, or even a lunch or a breakfast or a dinner, it can be so draining that you afterwards feel like you have zero energy left. And Rox and I speak about this all the time. Like, there's a few people that we both know in each of our lives where, when you have to see those people, you're like, okay, I know I have to like prepare for this, and like the rest of the day,
self-preservation day, just to like recharge that battery before it gets drained.
Literally straight afterwards, you're like, my gosh. Like, so that's an energy vampire. If you ever feel like you've finished spending time with someone, or you've had like a really nice lunch, we were in a group of friends, but being around one specific person at that lunch table just made you feel like when you got home, you had to like, that was a lot.
Plug yourself into the wall.
Yeah, recharge all my batteries. That is an energy vampire, and that is also toxic to be around. So limit your time. I know you can't always cut these people out of your lives, but like we say, limit the time that you spend around them.
Definitely. Okay, the next one is the compulsive liar. I have to say, like, since I've inserted a boundary in my life where I only hang around with honest people, well, as honest as you can find them, I don't have many of these left in my life, but I used to have so many. So these are the people that lie about everything, like whether big or small. I don't know why. It's like just some habit that they've got ingrained in their mind that they have to lie about everything, whether it's to show off or like hide something, or just like adjust themselves to how they think you want them to be. They just never tell the fucking truth. So these are very toxic people, because I feel like not only for themselves, because they are living a complete lie, but for you, because how do you know when this person's telling the truth and when they're lying? And you often tend to find that these people are like pretty much become the gossip queens as well, because they talk so much shit about other people, maybe to like cover their tracks of what they might have done, or to make themselves feel better about themselves, because they're putting everyone else down by lying about them.
And like you always say, I mean, we've both spoken about some of the core values that we really value in our lives, and we both value honesty. And when you put honesty at the top of like one of your core values, I feel like you do deter from people that are like this, where we used to have a lot of people like this in our lives. But we've said this before, like if someone can lie about something so small, like what they ate for breakfast, or like, the simplest thing, where they went for lunch the day before, and then you speak to someone else and they're like, they definitely didn't go there for lunch, and you're just like, why would you lie about something so trivial? Like, it really makes no sense. So if someone can lie about something so small, they're lying about a shit ton more that you have no idea about. Those are very manipulative people as well. Scary. Okay, and then the last type of toxic person is the green-eyed. So this is a person that can never be happy for other people, and they always play the victim. They minimize other people to feel better about themselves. So I'm sure a lot of people have these people in their lives as well. There are people that you can celebrate your wins with, and then there are people that that if you celebrate your wins, like they are literally going to put you down, or they find a reason to be like, I actually had a lot of friends like this growing up, where you would tell somebody something good that happened to you, or something great that's happening in your life, and they would be like, not, I'm so happy for you, but it's just, but nothing good ever happens to me. Like, why does all the good stuff always happen to you? It's like this victim mindset, and it's the green-eyed monster, because the green-eyed monster is jealousy, and it's just like, no one can ever be happy for you. So celebrate your wins with people that are positive and do celebrate your wins just as much as their own. And stay away from green-eyed monsters, because they literally, I feel like they can also be those vampire power suckers.
I feel like most toxic people have that trait of like sucking the energy out of you, because it's just unpleasant to be around them.
Completely. So those are just some examples, guys, of some toxic people. I'm sure, I mean, if you've got a toxic person in your life that there may be some even more than this, but these are just guidelines as to ways to think about people that you might be drained by, and are they toxic for you or are they not?
So let's move on to signs of a toxic person. I mean, obviously we've pretty much covered a lot of the signs you can pick up with the types of toxic people, but these are more like everyday behaviors that people can have towards you that you can now start to pick up as them actually being toxic towards you. Because like I said, it's either stems from naivety or very low self-value, self-worth, or maybe are just like complete obliviousness. But once you hear these and you start to like really take note of the people in your life and what they're doing and saying around you, you might actually be surprised at how some people are a little bit toxic that you never realized were.
And I think, like we said, I mean, going back to the fact that this follower had specifically asked about relationships, when we speak about these signs of a toxic person, maybe just picture your loved one or your partner, or whether it's your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever the situation is. Just think about that person and think about these signs of a toxic person. Do they have more than less? Like, what's the scale here? Is everything in your mind going, they are like that, they are like that? Then, you know, you might have to sit back and think, maybe the person I'm with is a toxic person for me. Like, maybe that's why I'm not happy, you know? There's many reasons why someone may be toxic in your life. But like we say, especially when it's a partner, it's very, very difficult for you to sit back and go, I know 100% this person is toxic, because love overpowers all. Like, you literally get blindsided by love. And it's such a common saying, but it is. You literally are blinded by love. So try to think about your past relationships or whatever it is, your current relationship, and see, maybe you have been in a toxic relationship before.
Yeah. And I think also, I mean, obviously, no one's perfect. So you might find that like someone in your life has one or two of these traits, but not at an extreme level. This is a perfect way to realize that you need to set boundaries with that person. So if you pick up maybe like something like the first one we're going to speak about, let's just go into it, is nothing you say or do is good enough. If you feel like your partner is like that towards you, then that's a good way that you can actually sit down and have a like mild, I'm going to say like gentle, adult conversation with him about this. I'm just like, the worst thing you can do is accuse someone of being a certain way, because they're always going to take it personally. So rather, instead of saying you do this and it makes me feel like this, just be like, when you do this, it makes me feel upset, it makes me feel sad, because then you're more focusing on yourself and how it's affecting you, and you're not pointing the finger. Sorry, that's just a little like conflict.
No, it's true.
Resolution
like
tip.
With the first one, you said nothing you can say or do is ever good enough. Like it's very easy to sit down and actually have a conversation with your partner, and instead of saying you never make me feel like I'm good enough, or what I say and do is good enough, you can honestly just sit down and be like, listen,
when you say
exactly
that I don't know what I'm doing, it makes me feel hurt, upset, sad, useless, whatever it makes you feel. Okay, so obviously you've covered number one. I mean, we don't really have to go into them too in depth. They just basic things.
But number two is people that comment on the smallest flaws or perceived imperfection. That speaks for itself.
Yeah, the judgmentals.
Yes.
And you'll probably find it's something that's like they self-conscious about in themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Number three, they drag up your past and won't allow you to be different. So these are those people that hold on to something you did before you even met them, before you even knew them. Shouldn't affect them. They obviously have unresolved issues about a certain thing that's making them hold on to what you did in the past. But like we say, you can't change your past. You can only change your future.
I feel like even in a relationship, like it might not even be before you met each other. If you guys have gone through something together and you've decided to like carry on with your relationship and move on from it, then it needs to be for both parties that are deciding to do that, because it's not fair for one person to keep bringing up someone else's past mistakes. That is a toxic trait in a relationship, because you will never move forward.
Love that goal.
Okay, number three, they drag. Oh, you already did that. Number four, they act like they are fabulous and never make mistakes. I think that speaks for itself. I'm like, there's Mr. or Miss Perfect.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Okay, number five, they leave you feeling guilty and ashamed of who you are. I mean, this ties up with the dragging into the past and stuff. But if people are making you feel shit about who you are, they are not very nice people. And
no one should be talking down to you in your relationship and making you feel shit about the person that you are, because in a relationship, you are with this person because you love that person. And if your goal is to change that person, then you should not be together in the first place. Like,
they should love you 100% for who you are.
Completely.
Number 6.
Is it me?
I don't know.
I'm like, I got so into that, I didn't even know who just read out the last one. Okay, number 6. They are critical, controlling, and don't think about your needs.
Oh, the control freak. We've already spoken about this.
Yes.
Okay, number 7, they leave you feeling beaten, wounded, battered, bruised, and torn. I mean, this doesn't have to be physical abuse. Verbal abuse can be as bad or even worse than physical abuse or emotional abuse. So yeah, just if they leave you feeling like you've been beat up, whether it's in your soul, in your mind, or on your body, that's fucking a very easy one to pick up. They're toxic.
Okay, the next one, they violate your boundaries and they never respect no. So, you know, we are big people on setting boundaries, whether it's in a relationship, a friendship, work colleagues, whatever it is. If people don't respect your boundaries and they are violating your boundaries, they do not deserve to be in your life, like especially not as a partner. That's like the closest person to you.
100%, girl. Okay, number 9, they do not care about your feelings and they like to see you suffer. If someone likes to see you suffer,
that just sounds toxic in general.
It sounds like those scary movies where they're like lock you in the basement.
Oh no,
puts
those
the
are
lotion
scary.
on its skin. Yeah, guys, if someone likes to see you suffer, they obviously have no fucking feelings for you whatsoever besides the feelings of enjoying seeing you suffer. So that is not a good person to have in your life.
I mean, if someone doesn't care about your feelings in general, like, why are you guys together? It's like we always say, a relationship is 2 parties. It can never be one person caring and the other person not. It will never ever work. Okay, and then the last sign is it's always about them and what they think and what they want and what they feel. You know, there are people like, this is what we're saying, the narcissist. People are so self-absorbed. Everything is about them. It's never about what you want to do or what you want to say or how you want to feel. Everything is about them. No one wants to be with someone like that. And if you are a narcissist, please, can you just check yourself before you wreck yourself?
Check yourself
before you wreck yourself. And you're going to wreck a lot of other people as well if you're a narcissist. So please, God, change yourself. But those are just some signs of toxic people and how to pick up people that are toxic in your life.
Yeah.
Like we said, no one's perfect. So there will be times where, I mean, we all make mistakes.
Yes.
You can't have somebody turn around and tell you that you are toxic, or you tell your partner that you are toxic because they've done one thing on that list, like when you've had an argument. No one's telling you to do that, but it's just to be able to pick up more easily that close people to you that you do love may be toxic in your life.
Yeah.
And to go back to the question that our follower was asking, she just said, basically, I'm just going to repeat the question again, but how do you know that you're ready to move on to a new relationship once you've been in a toxic relationship? And Rox and I spoke about this, and we are by no means a psychologist or a relationship coach, but we've been through these situations in our lives. And I think the only way that you'll ever know if you're ready to be in a new relationship is, number 1, on your own. Number 2, you have to do your own self-work. Like, the minute you start working on yourself and spending time on your own, and you've decided, like, this is my time for me, that is when the right person finds you. You should never feel like you are looking for a relationship or you're trying to find someone. Like, I was on a self-working path when Ryan and I like met up. I was so against being in a relationship at that point. I was just so ready to do my own self-work. I had been on, like, I think it was like 2 years that I was really just working on myself, and this Ryan found me, and I was even like, listen, mate, I'm not in the mood. Like, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm trying to work on myself. And the right person will find you at the time where you are doing the best self-work for yourself. Because Rox and I were even saying, like, if you're going to rush from one relationship to the next, and you've been through a toxic relationship and now you are trying to heal from that, more often than not, you're going to take all the toxicity from your past relationship and just carry it through to your new relationship because you haven't worked through it.
Yeah. I think, like, the biggest thing is to know when you're ready to date again, is to feel completely fine being alone by yourself. Because I think that's also a big thing. Like, you come out of this toxic relationship, and I mean, I'm not saying this is how everyone is, but you stay in a relationship because you feel like you need that person in your life. You need love. You need someone just there as like another half of you. So when you know that you can be truly perfect by yourself, you've almost kind of worked through the first issue, because no one likes like a clingy, highly strung, highly emotional person in any kind of a relationship. And when you can be by yourself and be happy and independent, because I think that's where a lot of toxic traits come up in relationships. When you're so codependent on the person, it actually makes them turn toxic towards you, because you can't do anything without them. You have to know where they are. You have to control their lives or whatever. You might actually be the toxic person in that relationship. So yeah, number one is making sure you are happy and fine to be alone by yourself.
Completely.
And like B said, when you're doing the deep self-work and you are giving yourself time to heal and to step into this new version of independent woman, I feel like I need to smash out a Beyonce song there.
Yeah.
You now lost my train of thought.
Yes, when you're an independent woman, the
Oh
people will
yes, so
find
like
you.
Dee was saying, when she was working on herself and she wasn't even looking for someone, that's when she met Ryan. That's exactly what happened to me with Josh. Like, I was doing all the things. I was doing the self-work, I was reading, I was listening to podcasts, I even went and did an ayahuasca ceremony, and then all of a sudden this guy walked into my life and he was like the perfect person, and I was like, that's so weird, I wasn't even looking, but
completely
thanks for coming into my life.
And I think it's so important to realize, guys, no one's telling you that you can't go from one relationship to the next. Everyone heals in their own time, and no one can tell you that one day is too short, or 2 years on your own is too long. Like, there's a specific amount of time you have to go between relationships. There isn't. Each person has their own healing journey. But what's super, super important in knowing that you'll be able to move on to a new relationship is, number one, like Rox was saying, are you the toxic person? Are you the person that's relying too much or codependent on that person? If so, you need to fix that first. And number two, if you were in a toxic relationship, I'm just going to use the example of, say, someone has multiple times cheated on you, right? So this person has been cheating on you through your relationship. And now by the time you guys break up, you are thinking you're ready to move into a new relationship, but are you now taking all that baggage from your old relationship and placing it on your new partner? Are you making them feel like, why are you out with your friends? Why are you not home at this correct time? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Your new partner is not your old partner.
Yeah.
That's one thing you specifically have to remember. Like, if you are able to work through all those toxic behaviors and traits that you had gone through with someone else and that you've given to someone else, and you can start on a clean slate, then 100% you might be ready. But also, no one can ever tell you if you are ready or if you aren't ready. Like, you will know yourself.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting how being with a toxic person can give you such toxic traits. And like you touched on it there, with like someone who cheats on you numerous times, or even if it's just once, guys break up. Now you go into this new relationship because you haven't worked through that and healed yourself with trust issues, and you become the control freak. You become the whatever,
you become
toxic
what they
person
were, literally.
and you're never gonna have a successful relationship if you're going into the new one basically the person that you broke up with.
And that's exactly how it happens. I mean, like we always say, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And if you are constantly surrounded by your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your partner that is toxic to you, when you break up, chances are you've absorbed a lot of those traits, and you will take that into your new relationship. So just do the self-work. I mean, we preach self-work as in like podcasting and yoga and walking and, living a healthy lifestyle. Like, that is what works for us. What works for you might be completely different. Your self-work might be, you know what, I'm going to go and travel the world for 2 years, and that's my like escape. Whatever it is for you, you do you, boo. But make sure that you are taking that time to do self-work, so that when you enter a new relationship, you will not accept anything less than what you deserve, and you will not allow anything like that to happen to you again, because like we say, it is a vicious cycle. Just like the toxic people that constantly attract drama. If you're in a toxic relationship and you keep trying to find someone just because you need a partner, chances are you're going to be in this
vicious cycle
of bad relationships. So that's just our little view on
our tips and tricks.
I mean, like we said, guys, no relationship coaches, but we've been through our fair share of what we've been through, and we are out on the other side. So that's just our little piece of advice, and I hope it helps.
And as always, we always like to end off with a little quote. A little quote. So we found out a cool one. It says, divorce is okay, breaking up is okay, starting over is okay, moving on is okay, being alone is okay. What is not okay is staying somewhere where you're not valued and appreciated.
Amen, sister.
Boom, like mic drop.
Literally, guys. I mean, we've said this a million times. Your self-worth and self-value is what means the most in this world. And I mean, religious reasons aside, like we've always spoken about, you know what, just because you are married to someone doesn't mean that it's not the same thing as being in a relationship. Like, divorce is okay. That's what this quote is saying. Like, yes, okay, that's what I said. Some people have religious reasons why they would never get divorced, but you don't stay with somebody in an unhappy relationship because of an outside reason. Like, you and your worth is more than anything else. So whether it's a breakup or a divorce or moving on, everything that you're going through is okay. Like, you need to be somewhere where you are valued and where you can value yourself.
100%.
Yes. So thank you guys for listening to us again. I know that you love our voices because you keep coming back.
For more.
I'm like, I don't know if it's our voices or our immense knowledge. Oh, I'm so full of shit.
Are we becoming toxic people?
Toxic person, walk the other way. I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but I said to Rox, there's like a reel or TikTok going around with that song, and every time it's like, I was thinking about this podcast, I kept singing that song. Toxic person, walk the other way. Toxic person, walk the other way. So go listen to that song and just keep that in your mind if you have toxic people in your life. But thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know. If it helped you realize that you do have toxic people in your life and you'd like some help in just like breathing, we're always here. You can always chat to us. Slide into the DMs, y'all. Give us an email if you want to be more
professional.
I was trying to think of the word.
Profesh.
But we are always here for you guys. It's not just through podcasting. Like, if you would ever love to chat, we would love to chat to you. So have a fabulous whatever day it is, on whatever year it is, or month it is that you're listening to us. And we love you guys.
Love you long. Bye.
Bye.